yes, gentle, yet gentle spirit always be reflected in our actions. In your Son's name we pray, amen.
Thank you, Deanna and Wesley. I would like to take a moment to thank the following volunteers who made today's meeting possible. Please stand as I call your name. Our greeters, Kevin, Garrett, last meeting notes, Polly Russell, member registration, Cindy, guest registration, Ed. We appreciate you. We could not have these meetings without our volunteers every week. Thank you all for serving. And now to welcome our wonderful visitors. Again, Mr. Edward McGlynn, insurance consultant with Champion Commissioner Insurance.
Somebody had a question back here?
Already, thank you for taking my question. Can you please tell me what's going on with the guest list today?
Brenda, I'm so glad you asked that. Welcome, everybody. Welcome all of our guests, and we also have a visiting Rotarian today. Today we have Evan Lewis, who's a guest of past President Courtney Lewis. Over here. Oh, guest, if you'll stand when I call your name so everybody will know who you're at. And we have Adam Powell, a guest of past President Sean Snell. Over here. We have Dallas Scholl, who's a guest of Gina Scholl. Over here. We have Sarah Fairley, who's a guest of Rosie Berdeja. Oh, over here. And with Ryan Finglass, who's a guest of Mitch Reitman. Over here. And we have Scott Ryder, who's a visiting Rotarian of my former hometown of Austin, Texas. Over here. And that's all we got. Back to you, Rebecca.
Thank you, Ed and Brenda. To our visitors, we're so glad you chose to join us today. Welcome. This meeting is sponsored by Patterson Law Group, courtesy of Rotarian Tennessee Walker. He could not be with us today, but we are being represented today by Annalise Martinek. Patterson Law Group is the largest personal injury law firm in Tarrant County, with roots going back to 1995. Patterson Law Group passionately guides clients on their journey toward closure, facilitating their healing and making their stories matter. Priding itself on being a community law firm owned and operated by lawyers who are deeply committed to community involvement and education. They hope you and your family never need their services, but if you do, Patterson Law Group is there for you. Thank you. Everyone, it is that time to recite our four-way test. And for our guests, this is the basis of our four-way test speech contest. We're so glad you're here. The four-way test is a roadmap for how we as Rotarians are supposed to conduct our lives. Not just during this hour of lunch between the bells, but every day of the week with all interactions we have with one another. To our visitors, you can join by viewing the screen and follow along with us. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendship? And fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Great job, everyone, and we can't wait to hear the speeches on this four-way test. Now, we do have a couple of announcements. Please welcome Regina Faden, President of the Fort Worth Museum of Science and History, and Randall Howard, President and CEO, R.D. Howard Construction, to share an International Committee update. Also, would all International Committee members please stand so we know who you are? I'm waiting? Yes, I knew you were out there. Right.
Good afternoon, Fort Worth Rotarians and speech contestants and other guests.
So, Randall, would you please tell me what the International Committee is up to these days?
Regina, I am so very glad you asked. Have you heard about the International Newcomers Academy bicycle giveaway?
No, what is the International Newcomers Academy? Oh, sorry, I misread my line. Anyways, Randall, we're subs for today. Anyways, I'm having a severe deja vu moment here, but I'm so glad you asked that. Each year, the International Newcomers Academy gives away bicycles to its students during end of the year school celebration.
So what is the International Newcomers Academy?
You know what's coming next. I'm so glad you asked that. The International Newcomers Academy is a Fort Worth ISD campus where all new international students attend for 1 year to prepare them for success. The students come from all over the world. Each year they give out bicycles to their students. These bicycles can be life-changing for the children and their families, providing them with transportation to navigate their new city.
Well, Regina, what does that have to do with our club?
Excellent question, Randall. I'm so glad you asked. Since 2022, the International Committee and our club has sponsored the project and raised funds to provide 20 bicycles and safety equipment for students each year. In fact, the club has donated over $15,000 since 2022.
And so what can our fellow Rotarians do to participate with the International Committee?
Again, I am so glad you asked that. You can scan the QR code on the screen and make your donation. Like I said, we already have asked a couple of times. We've made some headway here. We appreciate all of your support and generosity. And anyways, I think that's where we're going to leave you for today.
Thank you, Regina and Randall. We have a lot of exciting things going on. I've heard that there's some folks that did not understand we had this bicycle program that we give away each year through our international committee. And as they stated, it can be life-changing for some people because it can offer transportation for education, transportation for employment. So we appreciate all your support there. Now we have a membership update. We have 2 first readings. Please welcome our club secretary, Christina Judge, executive director with Mental Health Connection.
Rebecca, can I borrow you? Great news. Our second reading, name is Catherine Barr Smith. She is the senior manager of Fort Worth Stockyards, Inc. Her classification is not-for-profit. Her proposer is past president Ken Barr. Second first reading, yeah, that's right. I don't have my script here, I'm sorry. Our second first reading is Lauren Westinger. She is the executive director of the Mindful Project. Classification is executive coaching and corporate wellness. Her proposer is Michelle Krim. If no written obligations are received in the Rotary office by Friday, March 28th, these proposals will be given a second reading and voted on by the club. Thank you. That's yours.
Thank you, Ms. Christina. It's always exciting. New members, that is what our club consists of, and we would not exist without them. So thank you for those proposals. As I shared earlier, today is a very special program for our club, the 4-way test competition, speech competition. I invite
today I'm gonna analyze why do I do it? And I'm gonna do this by using the 4-way Rotary test to figure out why I strive for this perfection every day. Now, for the first question, is it the truth? Well, ladies and gentlemen, for me, it is the truth, to a fault actually, because I do this every single day. I strive for this perfection. Is it fair to all concerned? Well, I would say for me, it's not fair. It's not fair that every day I hold myself up to this standard of perfection and I try to make myself go above and beyond to reach it. It's not fair to my family members or my teachers that I hold myself up to this standard, and so I'm constantly putting this mental strain on them to be perfect, or like, hey, you have to make sure this is great, so when I turn it in, it's amazing. Like, it's not fair to anybody who does it really. Like, it's not like cordial at all. Like, I just can't put that kind of pressure on somebody. And so this leads to the third question: will it build goodwill and better friendship? The answer to this question is no. Like, I can't, it's not good for me to like go up to my friend and be like, oh, sorry I didn't get back to your text. I was too busy trying to get that project done, but hey, we still friends. Like, no, I can't do that. That's not fair to her. It's not fair to myself either when it comes to goodwill, because it's like, I'm not really being generous to those around me or nice to them because I'm too focused on my goal, getting it done, being perfect, having that 100 on my assignment to know to say I did it. And with this, it comes to that bettering my friendship, because I missed one of my little cousin's birthday because I was too worried about getting 100 on my project. And that really resonated with me because I realized at the end of the day that like, oh, I could have done well on that assignment if I went. Like, I sacrificed that time with my cousin despite knowing how it would affect me. And I live with that guilt every day. Even though she doesn't remember it and probably will never think like, oh, she wasn't there, it still lives with me because it's like, I wasn't there. I missed out on a moment in your life that I could have been there for. And so it's really something that came to me and made me think about. Now for the fourth question, is it beneficial to all concerned? No, it's not, because I mean, it's not beneficial to me if I'm constantly putting the mental strain on myself to like, do great, do perfect, like, hey, you gotta get this done, you gotta get that done. Like, that constant badgering at myself will do me no good. Is it good to my mother who says, Justice, you stress me out all the time? Like, like, it's not fair or beneficial to her either, because then again, she says she's growing gray hairs. So I'm stressing all those around me. But sometimes if we think about it, it can be beneficial because I'm telling myself that don't limit yourself to this standard, or don't limit yourself to that line, because you can always do better. You can always do something more. And so I feel like that's something that can be a benefit of this. And after analyzing why I strive for academic perfection with the 4-way Rotary test, I realized that maybe I'm going after a concept of perfection. Perfection is not a real thing. Nobody can be perfect, but you can strive for perfection. And so I tried to tell myself, maybe instead of going towards this concept, maybe I should settle for something that's real, like a goal, something I can strive towards, something I can be, something I don't have to strain myself to go towards. And so I would say that overall this test really just helped me find something and realize that you don't have to be perfect to be good in life. You just have to put your best foot forward and hope that everyone knows that. Thank you.
Thank you, Justice. Our second contestant is Arissa Alanis. Arissa is a dedicated student at YWLA who advocates strongly for her beliefs. She consistently challenges herself and demonstrates a determined spirit. As an aspiring lawyer and designer, Arissa's passion and decision-making abilities are sure to lead her to success in her future endeavors, which we hope will include Patterson Law Group.
Let me get my cards in order. I will be using the four-way test to identify something that resonates with me. something called fast fashion. Textbook definition being an approach to design, creation, and marketing of clothing fashion that emphasizes making trends quickly and cheaply available to consumers. Now, if I look back at maybe the 1970s, perms, they were new. I know a lot of you have some pictures, embarrassing. They were new, and it led all the way into 1980s and even leaked into the 1990s, a trend that lasted an entire decade and a half, most likely. But if I go back to 2020 and I look now, I can't see a single trend that has lasted that single half decade. This leads me to question, as someone that loves all sorts of fashion, if fast fashion is good fashion in terms of ethics, and should we let it fall? Is it fair to all concerned? No. Loads of workers in countries like China, Hong Kong, Singapore, Taiwan are working in sweatshops day and night, just getting paid dirty pennies by the hour to hopefully go home and be able to clothe and feed their families or themselves. Honestly, all of these sweatshops are the main income for all of these citizens in these countries, because they rely heavily on how many exports their country has by the week, hoping that when they go back to work, they will not be replaced by a machine. Will it build goodwill and better friendships? For wealthy business owners, I mean, those in the US, it does build goodwill with their country and with their partners, collab partners. And as they keep these third world countries on very short and tight monetary leashes. Though you can infer how much crime, violence, and poverty happens in these third world countries because they're just desperate to have a crumb of luxury that we have. Excuse me. Here we go. Will it be beneficial to all concerned? No, it won't. If fast fashion falls, it'll take the bare minimum livelihood away from these third world country citizens. It'll tank these wealthy investors and importers' bank accounts, and will most likely drop receiver happiness in higher income countries like the US, as we have gotten used to this fast fashion as being the norm in younger generations, the ones that buy it the most in the working population. To conclude my speech, I want to say that fast fashion is not good fashion, but it's not bad fashion either. Fast fashion has continued to make livelihoods possible for these people in third world countries, as well as keep most citizens in higher income countries happier for these cheap steals. But on the other hand, there's a lot more material and monetary waste going, more than you'd think, due to these passing aesthetics going around each and every week. Sadly, this issue continues to be up for debate, as for just like the world, it is not an answer that is given in black and white. Thank you.
Thank you, Arissa. Our third contestant is Justice Jackson. Justice is a senior at the YWLA. Her hobbies include reading, Sudoku, and volleyball, and she will be pursuing a degree in architecture in the fall. Please welcome Justice.
All right. Hello, I'm Justice. Okay, here we go. 71% of our world consists of this substance. Oceans hold up to 96% of this element. We use it every single day to wash our bodies and to keep ourselves hydrated. Everybody uses it. The person to your left, the person to your right, me, you, the person you pass every single day on the way to work. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you the infamous H2O, AKA water. All right, in a unit that I was doing in my African American Studies class, we were talking about segregation, and something that my teacher brought up that was in particularly upsetting to her was the separation of water fountains. And I was confused, because to me, whenever we're talking about segregation, I think there's a lot of things we can be upset about, but she was choosing to focus on water. But the more that I thought about it, the more I found myself agreeing with her, because it is a little bit outrageous that despite water being the most basic thing for that human needs to survive, it too is made less accessible for African Americans in that time period. That conversation ended up being the catalyst to why I chose to do my topic over the impacts of privatization in the United States of America, which is what I'll be using the Rotary four-way test to analyze by asking, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And is it beneficial to all concerned? For the first question, is it true that the privatization of water is a proper way for us to be managing our water? I would say no, but I'd like to take a moment to address why someone may feel inclined to say yes. Some people could pose the argument that private utilities, in this case water, are more efficient than public ones because the monetary maximization needed for those systems could serve as an incentive for the proper allocation of resources as well as cost reductions. And while many studies have been conducted that support that line of reasoning in theory, those studies do not yield results that show that that's true. In fact, a study done by Watch and Water in 2022 with researchers from both Cornell University and the University of Pittsburgh have shown that the opposite is true, and that in places where private utilities are installed, there's an increase in the cost of water and an increase in the accessibility gap for low-income families. So whenever we're talking about private companies being introduced to utilities, oftentimes there's this need to make a profit, which can shift the focus away from making sure that water is readily available to everyone. Okay, for my next question, is the privatization of water fair to all concerned? Not necessarily. Income inequality is a very real thing. As of 2022, locally, Tarrant County had a 0.474 on the Gini index. And without getting too complicated, that just represents a substantial gap in the income inequality between Tarrant County residents. Essentially what that means is that whenever we're talking about these private policies being introduced or in place, higher income people are able to afford the shift in the economy that occurs when they're installed. But the same, it can't always be said for those in our lower income. So, which brings us back to the question of whether or not the privatization of water is fair to all concerned. The answer would be no, since making water a private commodity makes it less accessible to people in our lower income. For the third question, does it build goodwill and better friendships? I would say no. In my opinion, whenever we introduce these private policies, we end up creating a very polarizing environment for our community. Most times, whenever people are voting on things like utilities, they're able to vote about it under public review, but the same cannot be said about the operations of private companies. And so whenever we have an issue with something that the public is doing, then we can take all of our grievances to a board and it can be discussed and even inspire some kind of change in our favor. That line of communication gets cut, and in that happening, there ends up being a drowning, I guess one could say, of the voices that may have valid concerns about the way that our water is being handled. And in doing so, private and public contracts have been a source of corruption since the dawn of our country, and water contracts are no exception. So no, I do not believe that the privatization of water builds goodwill or better friendships. And last but not least, is the privatization of water beneficial to all concerned? To me, I think that the privatization of water has an opportunity to be, but it isn't. Why? Because of inherent greed. The market for the privatization of water is based on exploitative strategies and lucrative contracts to maximize profits, which leads to inequities in access, displaced families, and other terrible consequences. When privatized companies are in charge of managing our water, it's challenging to hold them accountable for their actions because they may not be very forthcoming with their ways of operations. When we are talking about water, human beings' most basic need, a private for-profit system introduces a substantial risk associated with human beings' most sought-out thing, wealth. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Justice. Our fourth and final contestant is Janelle Sowaklu. Janelle is a sophomore at YWLA and has a passion for cosmetology, dance, and reading. Janelle is currently interning at First Trip Inc., a local convenience store in Mansfield, where she is getting hands-on experience in retail operations, inventory management, and customer service. With a strong foundation in the fields of business and science, Janelle plans to pursue majors in these areas in the future.
America is known as the land of opportunity. I mean, it's known as the land of chances to prosper. It's filled with hustling people from all over the globe in pursuit of their American dream. Every person in America has come from a plethora of experiences that influence their attitudes, values, and goals of what they're working towards. Someone from an unsafe background might have immigrated to America as a refugee or simply to seek peace and safety. Someone that didn't grow up with financial stability might be chasing financial freedom, or someone who grew up with adequate stability, but that's just looking for more of a lavish lifestyle. Or maybe someone with all the 9 yards who's just looking to continue that generational prosperity. Personally, when my father immigrated to America from Ghana, West Africa, he came to America with a goal in mind, a mission to obtain his life desires and build an empire of success for his family through all the companies that he worked for and built. So you might say, is he a go-getter? I agree, he is. I think that my father is the hardest working person that I have ever known, and this is why this topic really resonates with me. Because getting straight into the workforce, he believed that life favored the struggle. The notion that in order to prosper, you needed to sacrifice. And the more you sacrifice, the more you hustle, the more you'd reap the rewards of the efforts that you sowed. So is this the truth? Is it the truth that in order to build the life you desire, you need to sacrifice? The answer may be indefinitely yes. And this is so because it is particularly difficult to build a life you desire when you do not have the proper guidance or resources. I mean, balancing building wealth while your body's health, being fully present with your family, and just being an overall good morally person is very difficult. I think we've all heard the phrase, you can't have your cake and eat it too. I mean, that's one of my dad's most probable phrases as well. And he lives by this phrase. To gain, you gotta lose. And sometimes that sacrifice may be necessary, it may not be necessary. So that leads me to the next question. Is it fair to all concerned? Is it fair to the people around you, your kids? Maybe are you sacrificing your relationship with your wife, taking her out just to get a few more hours at work, a couple of $100? Or are you sacrificing those hours to be able to pick up your kids from practice or have a dinner with your family? It just depends. That leads me to my next question. Will it build goodwill and better friendships? That completely depends on what is being sacrificed. I mean, for goodwill, yes, hustling never comes from a place of ill intent or animosity. It usually comes from acknowledging the fact that you have a goal that you want to strive towards and that you're willing to achieve. That's never really a bad thing. It just can get out of control. And you gotta know when it's time to put that into proportion. Will it build better friendships? Well, maybe not with your kids, maybe not with your boss, but gotta gain some to lose, gotta lose some to gain some, right? And then that leads me to my next question. Is it beneficial to all concerned? In other words, is it worth it? And that's a question you just gotta evaluate individually. I mean, every person is on their own unique path. Some monetary value might be a necessary cost to some person, but love might be a necessary cost to another. It depends on what you're trying to pursue in life. And you need to ask yourself 2 questions in order to deem a necessary cost. Who am I and what am I looking for in this lifetime? That is everyone's true goal in life. Basically, just to understand what you're looking for in life. What is it you want to pursue? Thank you.
Wow, how impressive. And can I ask from the stage real quick, how old are each of you?
I am 14 years old. I'm 18. I'm 16. I'm 15.
Okay, yeah. What were some of us doing at 14, 15, 16? So we're going to let our judges step out as they begin to deliberate. But I have to say, Justice, Arissa, and Justice, and Janelle, thank you so much for being here today. And Corey and Deanna, have them fill out their application for Rotarian membership ASAP before they leave here today. Well, we're giving our judges a few moments. I do have a few closing announcements. Next week, you don't want to miss Michael Toth, Tournament Director with Charles Schwab Challenge, will be here giving us an update. And don't worry, we have a Finance Committee meeting today in the Rotary office. We'll see you members there on the committee. Naturally, we always want to thank our former Rotarian, Gordon Boswell, for these beautiful floral arrangements we have here every week, and you can have them too. Just go to Boswell Flowers, and they'll take care of you. Again, thank you to the Patterson Law Group. We appreciate you sponsoring today. Annalise, thank you so much for being here today. This is such a pleasure. Now, we are waiting for our judges to come back so you can continue to eat or get dessert. We have about a couple more minutes.
I'm so glad you asked that question.
Thank you.
I actually have a speaking engagement for one of the young ladies already.
Okay, please share.
I took my family to Ghana last summer, and our hosts are going to be visiting my house Sunday afternoon with a group of about 25 folks from West Africa and about 8 or 10 from Ghana. If you would, please come over, bring your parents, and give your speech.
Awesome. Thank you, Randall. Do we have any other questions that we could ask? You know, come on, softball, nothing, of our wonderful guest and speech participants today? Yes, ma'am, Ms. Brenda.
What was the encouragement, I lost my words, sorry, these beautiful speeches. Your inspiration for your topics. They're all very diverse. And is it your career paths or?
For me, I said it in my speech, but I take acting recognition at school, and it was just something that I guess I hadn't really thought about in terms of like water, like music at school day, and I don't really think about that much about how we get it, because like, well, for me it's just like water. I wake up, I have it, I brush my teeth, I drink it, it's just kind of there. So I thought it'd be interesting to think about something that may seem like an everyday need or something that I always have access to from a different perspective, like in a way kind of. Yeah.
Justice, there is a big water issue taking place in the legislature right now. Yes, so we might need to get you to tell them how to take care of these things as well.
I'd love to introduce you to my boss, Leah King. She's the president of the water board. She's running again. Oh, nice. So you would love her. Am I right?
Yes. What other questions do we have? This is awesome.
I have a question. What was the process that brought you here? Because there's 4 of you. Did you have to apply? Did you have to compete against your friends? How did you all get here?
Oh, this is the attorney.
So it was more of like, hey, do you want to come to the Rotary and compete? And it's like, we came and we were like, sure, let's compete, because we all have something we're passionate about, and putting that into words in front of very important people in a very important and beautiful space would just mean, the world to us. I was here last year, so I was like, yes, I do want to do that again. It's very fun last year. So we went to a couple meetings with Tennessee, he's not here today, but we went to meetings with him at our school, and he helped us with our speeches to make sure that we were solid in what we wanted to talk about, and we were just confident in what we wanted to discuss. Okay.
Just to answer your question about motivation for our speeches, sorry. My dad, he worked every job that I've ever known, from fast food, retail, construction, oil, you name the job, he's done it. And he even built his own auto insurance company. And so I'm super proud of him, and just seeing how hard he works for all of us. And I asked him, is it worth it? Because he works 12 hours every day, almost every day. And I don't even have that many memories of my father in my childhood. And I told him this, and he was quite sad about it, but he said in the end, everything that he was doing for us. And so he didn't regret a single thing. And that really resonated with me, because I want to be a businesswoman. I'm working with pharmaceutical science right now. I'm making my own hair products to help people with alopecia and other issues related with that. And so just seeing how hard he works and wanting to be a businesswoman myself, I wanted to evaluate how I'd balance my own life as a businesswoman for my family.
Thank you.
But I do want to recognize Ms. Katie Best. Again, she's the sponsor for the girls here. She's the sponsor for the Interact at Young Women's Leadership Academy, and we appreciate her. And she's my birthday twin.
Oh, how fun.
So,
This is so special. Thank you all for being here. This is wonderful. And I think they're still working over here. Do we have another question? These questions have been awesome.
how about what they're planning to do after high school?
Who would like to go first?
Let me start with you.
Oh, after high school, I really want to go into nursing because my mother, she used to do a lot of medical jobs. And so like just seeing her take care of like me and like my family, I've always wanted to just go into something in the medical field. And I was kind of like, oh, what sounds like something I can handle? And I was like, because I don't know, a lot of it's like it's very like a lot of mental and a lot of like physical strain on people. And I was like, honestly, I want to do a job that I just love because I love taking care of people rather than I'm doing it because it's worth the money or the profit in the end. And so I was like, I think nursing is definitely the path I want to go. But every time I look into it, everybody's like, man, only like 4 people make it into the program. And I'm like, oh, okay. But then I'm like, you know what? We're gonna strive hard. We all work hard, we all get to where we want, and we all have a set path for us. So I'm just hoping that I can get there, and hopefully one day I can be in here and sit down with you guys and also watch kids like us go up there and say their speeches, and I can be like, hey, I used to do that.
We are confident that you're going to succeed. We are very confident in you, yes. And please stand so we can see you. Didn't want to interrupt.
After high school, I'm striving to go to University of Cincinnati because they have great law programs as well as a fashion program, a very, very well, ranked. Because I'm striving to be a attorney, not a lawyer, because I'm going to pass the bar exam. And I want to help people that I want to strive to help people that aren't in the best financial situations. I'm not sure what type of lawyer I want to be yet. I'm striving for a patent lawyer because with the rise of technology, AI, it's kind of like, well, you're gonna need help. And I also want to strive to not only be a fashion designer, probably as some sort of side hobby, but an interior designer because I love decorating spaces. I can appreciate a great space when I see one, and it's just so fun to bring a room to life in any way that I can. That's why my room is, my dad can vouch for me. It's a very interesting room.
Thank you.
Well, after high school, hopefully I make it in, but I plan to go to UPenn Wharton School of Business, and I just love the community. My sister has gone to UPenn before to visit on a college trip, and she just talked about how the community was, and knowing that I want to get into business, I feel like UPenn Wharton would be very awesome for me, and especially like the pillars of what the school stands for, Benjamin Franklin and all he's achieved is very heartfelt to me. So that's what I plan to do.
Fantastic.
So post high school, so in like 3 months, I'll be attending college for sure. I already know where I'm going, but I can't tell you guys, it's a secret. But I will be getting my degree in architecture for sure, and I might end up double majoring in civil engineering, just because I like observing and like understanding the way that people interact with spaces and the architecture around them, because I think that it represents a lot about society from a cultural standpoint and a historical standpoint, and I think it's very important. But yeah, that was it.
Awesome, fantastic. So we have an attorney, we have a nurse, business owner, architect, civil engineer. This is so impressive. Thank you so much for the additional time you gave to us in answering questions. Now the moment you've all been waiting for. Miss Annalise, please join us.
All right. Thank you again to the YWLA and all of our contestants. Y'all did an amazing job. I will start with the bottom and work my way up to the winner today, who will receive a $300 cash prize, and they will go on to compete against other winners from other clubs at the regional competition. So in fourth place today, we have Arissa Alanese. Third place, we have Justice Jackson. Second place, Justice Smith. And our winner today is Janelle Sowaklu, if you'll come on up. Great job, and Tennessee has your money, but we will get it to you. But one more congratulations to Janelle, everybody. Little smile like that. Yes. Come over here and do a photo. Yeah.
Thank you all so much. That was wonderful. And just for everyone, remember, we have group photos afterwards, so don't go too far. When you get it from your table, please come up to the front. That concludes our program today. It was so wonderful. Thank you all for joining us and giving them such support. We appreciate it. We look forward to seeing you again next year. Have a great weekend, everyone. Our meeting is adjourned.